Welcome everybody to the October 22nd edition of the Directors Roundtable. We have a special guest with us today from our Streets Department. Leading our streets is George Ladd, who's going to tell us some of the things that he does and why. You're on, George.
All right. Well, in Public Works, we have a lot of self-performed in-house drainage projects we do. And now that we have PE on staff, we get to do our own engineering, modeling, and designs on our projects. On the construction end of it, we do a lot of pipe installations. We install junction boxes where drain pipes come together. We do inlet boxes, the curb inlets. We do surface drain inlets. We do raised weir box inlets. We do curbing and gutter jobs throughout the city. And we even do low impact development jobs. And the low impact development jobs are stuff like bioretention ponds that try to get the water off the surface and prevent sheet flowing to where water percolates into the ground a little bit and tries to slow water down. Some of the city projects that we've done recently, one of them is at Pecan Street and Section Street. This one kind of made Facebook a little bit. We had a cone sitting on top of it that somebody took a pretty picture of and put a clown in it. But there is a old metal corrugated pipe that was crossing the road that had about a softball size hole in the top of it. The entire pipe was in bad shape. So what we chose to do was go all the way across Pecan Street right before the intersection and replace it with some arched RCP pipe, which is concrete reinforced pipe. We redid the box on the north side of Pecan Street and we cut into the wall of the box on the south side and re-poured the top and everything in there. The next project that we have here for you is on Fairhope Avenue, right across from Emmy's thrift store. We had the developers put in two 48-inch drain pipes to increase the amount of water that can flow off Fairhope Avenue. There used to be an area that was low that water backed up pretty drastically, and where there's an 18 and a 24-inch pipe that come underneath Fairhope Avenue, the box you're looking at right here, we took a brand new 48-inch RCP pipe and concrete reinforced pipe. We cut into the box, cut one wall off the box, and tied the pipe in. There's us cutting into the side of the box. We laid a new pipe in there and poured a new wall around it, bonding the bottom of the box in. And now that water, it drains and like really well. There's no water standing on the road anymore.
Has it been tested?
Oh yeah, it was tested by a very, very good rain event. I don't remember the date of that rain event.
I have video.
Oh, do you?
It's actually quite impressive. It looks like somebody has a shop vac running underneath the ground.
That's great.
So that was a much needed improvement that was made right there. And that's another shot of the double barrel 48s coming through the construction site on the north side of Fairhope Avenue, heading back towards Stimson. This is another drainage project, a quite large one that we did at Fairhope Avenue and Bayview. On both Fairhope Avenue and Bayview, we had old pipe that was a conglomeration of some corrugated, metal corrugated pipe and some old concrete pipe that was in 4-foot joints and very thin and brittle and falling apart. So we were replaced to run all the way up Fairhope Avenue to Bayview, and then turned and went south on Bayview with 18-inch pipe. This box you're looking at right here is the last box that the contractors tied into and we tied into. That the pipe that falls to your left, which would be to the west, falls into a pretty significant drop box that goes into the gully behind the job site. And on Bayview, where every 80 feet we're going to put in new curb inlet boxes that they have the decals on them that say clean water leads to fish habitat. It's going to be a good looking job when we get through. These are the plans for that, and I think you can see the drawing, on the drawing, the decals that are on the drain boxes, if I'm not mistaken.
Those are the ones that the high school students participated in.
No,
Drawing.
these are ones that,
They're cast grates that just
Oh,
tell
okay.
you that all stormwater leads to the bay
Oh,
on them. So
okay.
it's cast in the grate actually,
Oh,
so.
great, okay.
they're actually really good looking boxes. This is the main junction box at Bayview, the one on the right with the plywood. That's the main junction box. That's water coming from the east going west towards the bay underneath Bayview on the right. Then you got Bayview coming in, the smaller 18-inch pipe in the center, and then outfall is the 24 on the left-hand side. And you can see where we did cast in place boxes. We laid the pipe, we poured the bottoms, let the bottoms bond to the bottom of the pipe, and then built the walls up 8 inches thick all the way around it with concrete, poured them in place. Seems to be the most efficient way for us to do boxes as of right now. Does anybody have any questions?
When you lay this pipe, how long is that good? I mean, what's the lifespan of that pipe? Like the one on Bayview and Fairhope Avenue?
You know, I'll tell you, in the engineering books, they say 50 years. But in reality, properly laid concrete pipe will last indefinitely. I mean, if, as long as you don't have anything that's going to uplift it or heave it, and that you've maintained a good seal between joints of pipes and seals between the boxes, you know, theoretically, concrete lasts forever.
So much longer than corrugated metal pipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, corrugated metal is probably about 40 years, and then it's done. It has to be replaced.
Richard, could you, I mean, a couple of these projects were in conjunction with some private projects going on at areas that were going to be developed. Can you explain how that works when you have a private and public and you're doing work in the same area?
Well, a lot of times what happens is when some area is being redeveloped, the engineer working for the private developer has done an intensive drainage study and has determined that there's some problems, and some of those problems may lie with the infrastructure that's already there that belongs to the city. And especially in the case of on Fairhope Avenue, there was a historic flooding problem there. And the developer was willing to work hand in hand with the city to solve that problem once and for all. And basically, we did a private-public on the portion that ran through the developed site, or the site being developed, where we provided materials and they provided all labor. So we ended up getting a drainage project that our city's cost was about $97,000, but probably the overall value was about $250,000. So that was the developer got his problem solved, and then we were able, in as George mentioned, we feel very confident that we've ended, except in the most extreme event, the flooding that occurred on Fairhope Avenue at that location. Now that drainage, the inlets have a place to take that water to instead of just flooding the road. At Bayview and Fairhope, even without the development going on there, we had 2 sinkholes on Fairhope Avenue, and that line was failing. George and his crew did emergency repairs, and that's what they were. They were just temporary repairs. And it was ironic that about 2 weeks following the first repairs when the second sinkhole started occurring. So that's when we made a decision that this is ridiculous. We're wasting energy and efforts patching something that needs to be replaced. So we went ahead and replaced it.
Sinkholes are because the pipes are failed below the roadbed, right?
That's correct. And it's a very base term. It starts sucking material, the dirt, and then eventually the asphalt over it. And next thing you know, you would be amazed that what a 5 or 6 inch diameter rust out hole in the top of a pipe will do to a road. It can end up in a 3 or 4 foot diameter sinkhole that could get someone hurt, you know. So. And
these private and public partnerships, they're draining large areas, not just the development site, but much larger area that is upstream from the development site, correct?
That's correct. For example, on Fairhope Avenue, let's say that site that's being developed is about 7 acres, but they're handling the water from a watershed that's probably 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times that large. So they're carrying all the water in that draw in that portion of the city.
Prior to being able to design this in-house, about how long would it take to get either one of these jobs accomplished? versus now?
Probably a factor of 6 months plus, longer. You know, George and I kind of talked about this, the Bayview and Fairhope job, and I don't remember what the final tally on the pipe was, but its value, if we had to pay to have it engineered and we went out to a private contractor, I think we're in a $125,000 range. I think we're somewhere a little less than $20,000 on hard cost, meaning that was the cost of the materials, maybe 25, where the engineering was done in-house, all the contracting has been done in-house. The developer is bearing the cost of the nice great inlets because it's an aesthetic consideration as well, and he was willing to do that, and that was nearly $3,000 worth of inlets right there that he paid for at no cost to us, just to enhance his road frontage.
So we've got considerable savings both in time and money and energy.
And absolutely, and one thing, and Richard's nodding his head over there, a lot of times all the good engineering in the world is not really worth what you pay for it until you dig open the hole and see what the problem is, because in having the ability to make decisions in the field quickly on what is the most practical and workable solution to a problem, as opposed to if you know, engineers have to make certain assumptions and guess in a design, and if all of a sudden the contractor gets out there and digs it up and those assumptions are incorrect, we have those wonderful things called change orders that are not fun to process. So.
Well, it was impressive. I had the opportunity to go out there and see it several times with Richard coming back from lunch and times like that. It was impressive to see the work they did. It was very well done.
And, you know, I will tell you, George and his team, they are very skilled. I mean, they as far as their ability to lay pipe, to build the inlet boxes, they you know, they're cast in place, which is probably the best kind of construction you ask for, because it is the absolute perfect seal between the pipe and the box, because they're poured monolithically, and so you eliminate all kind of future maintenance issues, and the serviceability just goes way high, and they just do a great job. George came from the private sector in commercial construction, so he has those skill sets that make him not only a great supervisor, but he is really a great superintendent of construction. He understands how to read plans, how to lay out. He has taught his men that work for him how to use the laser level and how to set grades and do things, and they just do a phenomenal job, and they do high quality work, and that has been, for what I do in my job, that makes life so much better, because I can get very technical in a set of plans, hand it to them, and get that product actually built in space out there in the field. And I know that one of our dreams this year in the budget, we have an excavator budgeted. The city has never owned a excavator. Unfortunately, all these jobs that you see on there, we had to rent equipment to do those jobs. And, you know, I believe that if we had an excavator that could be shared between the utilities and public works, and they're expensive pieces of equipment, but really the lifespan for them, for us, would probably be 20 plus years. So you got to look at it that for a piece of equipment that you're going to have available to you to do these type of things, and I think we probably have already spent over $12,000 this year renting excavators.
Okay.
So it starts to look at, there's a value to have that piece of
Absolutely.
equipment in-house. So.
Let's talk about your team for a minute, George. How many men are on it?
I've got 4 guys on the streets crew that do the pipe installation.
Okay.
I've got 5 guys on my carpenter crew that actually build and construct the boxes. Actually, I've got 6 guys on that. One guy, he really specializes in masonry, laying block. He's really good at that. And my other guys they're kind of the jack of all trades. The guys that build the boxes, they're the ones that I have to work with the most on getting our numbers right, grade elevations with tying curbs in, handicap, everything's ADA nowadays, so we have lots of stuff we have to work together, and we have a very small crew. They do a really good job at what they do, and I am impressed with how well we keep up with what we have going on, considering the amount of work we have and the small workforce we have.
And is this a one project at a time crew, or can?
It depends on the
this-
size of the project. for the most part, normally when a large project like that, yeah, it's normally one project at a
Mhm.
time. Other than I can take a couple guys and break them off and do small things while the core group is working on one. But like I said, the streets crew focuses mostly on laying pipe, digging the ditch, laying the pipe, doing the asphalt repairs and stuff like that, potholes around the city. And the other crew is more carpenters, masoners, concrete guys. And normally one kind of leads the other. Normally the street crew comes in, does what they have to do, and then the carpenter crew is what we call them. They come in and put the final cap on everything to make it look good.
So street crews are way beyond just laying new pavement.
Yes,
Way beyond.
way beyond that. Very
And-
much so.
And the folks that do the general carpentry, I mean, they really should be called constructors, because it's, carpentry, you think of wood, but they support the city in multiple ways, whether it's forming up for concrete or coming in and framing somebody's window out in the office or building a bookshelf. And then the painter works for streets as well. That's Ricky Mims. And he is not limited in his media. He paints streets. He paints walls, interior and exterior. He'll paint anything that'll stand still long enough to paint. So,
And my mason is also the sign guy. He's also responsible for every sign in the city.
Wow.
So he maintains that by himself and does the masonry work around at Richard's water treatment plants and well stations, and he does masonry. He takes care of 60% of the pavers around town by himself. So
And I'll echo what Richard said. It is high-quality work, and not only is it public works, but it supports utilities. And I think the slab for the building out at the soccer complex and the fuel tank at
Mhm.
the Fairhope docks and all of those things, it's incredible what y'all
They
get
put
done.
roofs on and doors and windows, and, they've built entire buildings out there in the rec department. Jack of all trades is, it's a good term.
they definitely.
So we appreciate that, and we can take advantage of the excavator because we put in a sewer line on Bayview that
That's
should be
right.
getting paved shortly if it's not already been paved, and we're looking to gain some expertise and capabilities within the department to be doing more in-kind type work for developers to potentially improve the system overall and look more long-term in what we get accomplished with each addition that we put onto our system. So I think that's the proper approach to take, and I think we're moving forward in that direction.
Okay. Thank you very much, George. That was
You're welcome.
interesting. I
Thank
think
y'all.
the folks learned a lot more than they guessed what the streets crew does. Richard, what do you have for us today?
just a couple of quick updates that we're excited about. The bathroom, the new bathroom at North Beach Park, got under construction last week. I did not get down there today, but they were ready to pour the slab when I was last time there.
They
and
poured it on Friday.
They poured the slab on Friday. There was a lead time on the CMU block that they're using for the exterior walls. So hopefully there may be about a week time that goes by that nothing happens until the material gets here, but it was, when we let the contract, it was about a 6-week order period, so they should be within that week to 10 days getting that material, and then you'll see the building going up pretty quick there. We are, George has heard me, he is moving on to the Park this week, either tomorrow or first thing Wednesday.
Wednesday morning.
And I know the folks at the library are excited about that, and we're excited about it too. It's just been a challenge timing-wise and everything else. And our paving contractor has been in the city working. They've completed the jobs in Rock Creek. They've completed the job at Glen Hardy entrance. They have taken care of North Bayview. And they have completed the paving of the Orange Avenue Pier parking lot, which really turned out good. And they will start some of the mainline work coming in the coming weeks.
Creek Drive is completed. It looks
Oh,
phenomenal.
cool. Yes, Creek Drive turned out exceedingly well, and that was a lot of a route uplift, a lot of damage to that road. So we're excited to be getting those things out. And then internally, the offices expansion at 555 South Section Street is closer to being done than it ever has been, and so hopefully we'll have some place to give some relief to the shared office spaces in our building here in the next
I know a
few
lot of
weeks.
people are looking forward to that.
Yes, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Wayne?
I just want to mention the upcoming visual preference survey, which is November the 8th and 9th. We had a conference call this morning with the consultants going over that. I think that's going to be a very worthwhile process. I encourage everyone to attend, and also I think we'll have an online component to where you can state your preferences online as well, so that'll be exciting. And then after that, we hope to get started on, and this is going to be primarily for Greeno Road, with implications throughout other parts of the city as well. So it'll be an exciting process, and basically it's a way for the public to tell the city things that they like. A lot of times we hear what we don't like, but this is a way to sort of articulate through a visual analysis of pictures and so forth that you state your like or dislike for, and it'll tell us what people want to see in Fairhope, and then after that we can go back and review our ordinances and try to find ways to tweak our ordinances to reflect those desired changes that the public has. So it'll be very exciting, and just want to encourage everybody to attend those and be a part of something that's be pretty cool, I think, in Fairhope, and be kind of a change in how we look at things, maybe from the standpoint of the built environment around Greeno Road and also other parts of the city.
Super. Tom?
The nicer weather is bringing a lot of people out to the tennis courts. I spent some time over there, and the numbers just continue to grow, and things are going real well over there. The swimming pool, we've had a couple, the high school swim meets are all this time of year, so about every other week we're hosting one of those. If you've never seen a swim meet, it's something to see.
It's crazy. I've never seen anything. It's as bad as a football game.
Yeah, if not worse. You're in a confined space, but it brings a lot of people, a lot of kids, a lot of teams to town. It's a lot of fun. And they've also had, just this month, the Eastern Shore Master Swimmers had a meet there, which it brings people from Atlanta, Auburn, all around the southeast. It's an adult swim league, and they host one meet a year there at the pool, and everything went real well. The soccer tournament this weekend, we had perfect weather, 162 teams in town, and very few hiccups. We host this tournament every year, and traffic and parking is always an issue, but from what I understand from the soccer people, anywhere they go, parking's an issue, because just the number of folks that show up at these things, and then everybody's playing on the fields. The second wave is coming in an hour early to get ready for their games, and those people haven't left yet, and anyway, it all worked out real well. I spent a lot of time out there, and traffic was not a terrible issue on 13, just in waves. So anyway, and then Quail Creek, everything's going real well out there. The dry weather's helped us quite a bit. We're not fighting the rain and the rain dates every other day like we did for a couple months. Play is doing well out there. And then marina fuel sales are continuing just about on a daily basis. We sell fuel out there. And with this nicer weather, I anticipate, the busier weekends coming up. That's all I have.
You're up, Richard.
Well, we sent a team of 6 in the electric department over to Chattahoochee, Florida, and they helped recover from Hurricane Michael. The 6 that we sent: Ian Morrison, who was our Employee of the Year for the utility department, Conrad Habernick, Chaz McMahon, Jeremy Anderson, Justin Crabtree, and Jeremy Morgan. They went over, and I'm pretty confident in saying for the first 2 or 3 nights they were without power. And I don't know how humid. I think the temperatures were bearable, but the humidity may have. It's always the humidity, right? But they came back this morning, and they spent the better part of 2 weeks helping Chattahoochee, Florida. So we're grateful for them stepping up and doing that. I've been trying to work with the contractor and the inspector and AlDOT on the widening project at 31 to try to make sure the gas system that we're replacing in a lot of places for that work is done with some new code provisions where we'll have some access valves to pressure regulator stations that get put in there. and the highway department seems amenable to being able to work with us on getting those done. We may upgrade some of those high-pressure regulator stations as well so that we can accommodate some future growth out there. We're planning on that, and we had a meeting this afternoon on how to accommodate all that, so we should get some final details on that tomorrow. With the bids for the outfall project will be open November 14th. I'm pretty sure that's right. No, I'm sorry, November 13th, they'll be open. We're having a pre-bid meeting this Wednesday, so the contractors interested in doing that work will be able to ask questions and get details on how we expect that to work. And that's moving right along. The two transmission projects that we're upgrading on Church Street and then the Bayou Drive, Fairwood, Fairhope Avenue transmission line, most of that survey work is done. We're looking at some longer-term projections for growth getting into those two transmission systems and making sure we feel comfortable with what we're going to provide in there in terms of our upgrade. Then when we get that to the point where we start putting plans together and looking at being able to get that project bid, we'll be looking at those long-term plans and moving the next step out from there and looking at lift station upgrades and force main extensions. And I think right now what we're going to be looking at is some side stream storage vessels that we'll put on the north end and in the middle section and south end of town so that we can accommodate some of these extra flow events, you know, in the short term, and we're looking to try to get that done as well. In the gas system, we besides the 31 project, we've gotten quotes on a complete leak survey of the entire system. That's something that you're supposed to do every 5 years, and what we're going to wind up doing after we complete this leak survey is we're going to divide the system up into fourths, and so we'll be doing 1/4 of the system every year, and it'll be a more consistent cost in terms of what it takes to do each year so that we can meet the DOT requirements on that. And then working with in concert with the leak survey, we're also trying to put together the final contract agreement language to Magnolia River Services where they'll be actually investigating the cast iron gas main replacement. And in starting with that project, what we're first going to do is have the gas system modeled so we can look at any hydraulic issues we have, where the cast iron gas mains are located, and if we need to do any upsizing of anything that's in there. And then we'll be looking at class locations for trying to project the best way to replace the cast iron gas main, because we want to focus on the higher priority areas first and then work our way out to the lower consequence areas after that. So that's going on in the gas system, and we're staying busy. I'm proud of all the guys that are keeping all the work done, and the tank project is making progress every day that is far better than it has in the past, and we're still taking calls and we're still answering questions, but that project is moving forward. Do we have an end time on that
yet? Do we have any idea?
Right now, well, and Jay spoke to this last time, it looks like about December 18th, if you follow the progress chart that they've created and submitted to us, we hope to have the cell phone companies in a position to mobilize and reattach the antennas and connect all their hardware to the servers at the base of the tank so we can get back to the cell phone service
Merry
to people.
Christmas.
Yeah, it'll be maybe a Merry Christmas. But I don't want to get anybody too excited about that yet, because it may be Happy New Year, but we're working on that. That's all I've got.
Okay, thanks, Richard. Sherry Lee, what's going on in the community?
And people can check the FAQs on our website. It's continually updated. We updated on Friday about the water tank. So Jay gave us some deadlines, and we'll see. Like Richard said, we always I said will be completed, and Jay said put may be completed, because, I mean, we don't control the contractor, but I know they're working hard to get it done.
Right.
Yeah, sorry I'm a little late. I got stopped about 6 times between the restroom and here, and so that just added about 10 things to be done. Richard, most of them are going on your plate, so get ready for it. VPS, I heard Wayne talk about. We've been working together on that. We're excited about that happening. I know they met this morning with Jeff Montgomery too, who's going to help develop a platform. Did you talk about that at all? Yeah, online voting, and yeah, so people can participate even if they can't attend. And so we'll be sending something out, and we'll also press releases going out on that tomorrow. We do have the town hall. There's a town hall on Wednesday at Coastal Alabama Community College about the council manager form of government, and it's an informational town hall. That's at 6 o'clock, and I believe the postcard went out to all registered voters about that and to remind people to vote. The events and advertising. So for the city, at the last council meeting, our budget was approved, and one of the reasons we needed it approved quickly is because we have a lot of materials and things that have to be purchased far ahead of these events, and so that process has started. But in addition to that, we had talked a little bit, at the last few council meetings about doing some outreach and advertising to bring people into Fairhope over the course of the holidays, and also during vacation, high tourism periods, to come shop. So day trips from the beach, over the Thanksgiving, lighting of the trees, all the way through, really through Easter. We're going to be doing big pushes, and the first time that we've really paid for advertising in earnest as a city. And we're going to measure, look at sales tax revenue and see how that works. But we want to attract people to come spend more time here and spend more money shopping and dining in Fairhope. So we're working on that. That's a whole campaign. And when it's ready to unveil, we will unveil it. Last week, Mayor did a welcome at the NACO conference, the National Association of County Officials, and it was their caucus, their southern states, their Gulf States caucus. Sounds very official, which it is. And she did a welcome there. Leading up to that, they had a lot of the resilience experts from the various states gather, and I participated in that conference. It was really exciting to get input from other states and other people that do the work that we're doing, who are, think Fairhope is doing an exemplary job in our resilience work. So that was really fun to hear. Part of that was an unveiling of the documentary about some of the work we're doing here by NOAA. That'll be released to the public in the next, I can't speak for them, but probably the next week. And we'll have it on our website and everything and push it out so people can see for themselves a little bit more about the kind of work we've been doing here. And resilience has the social aspect and the environmental aspect, so it's not just about disasters. It's about preparing communities for anything, and making sure you're connecting the environment to the individual. So that documentary covers that pretty well, I think. We've been selected to host the Mississippi-Alabama Sea Grant Conference here, which is also Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, and that's in April. So that's a really great thing. It'll bring a few hundred people into Fairhope that are experts, and we're actually going to put them to work while they're here, probably at the marina. We hope we're going to queue up a project and get them out there to do some work and see what we've been doing with the Clean and Resilient Marina project, but also actually get them hands-on in the water. And Treasury, I don't know if you touched on Restore, but we were asked what I think is our final question for this first project. Fingers crossed. And we've responded to that and haven't heard anything yet, but it looks like things are really moving along quickly in federal terms. So, that's fine with me. And then lastly, the National Park Service, they're about to issue a press release that is something we applied for. We spoke about at council meeting before we applied And we were selected to receive this connectivity technical expertise grant. So that process is about to kick off. I'm going to work with someone in the planning department to help organize the entire thing, because it is a big lift, and a lot of people will be involved. A lot of the same people that were involved in the creation of the Eastern Shore Trail, which is really neat. And the woman out of the Atlanta office worked with TICO locally on that project. So she's excited to be back in Fairhope and working with us. So they'll be coming down right after the visual preference survey. So we'll be hitting the ground running with the next project. And that will provide us with technical expertise about connectivity and gaps in connectivity between our recreational facilities, parks, and access to other facilities around the city. And so it'll be a really nice final plan to have in hand that we can all work from together.
Super.
And that's it.
Okay. Anything from anybody else? Okay. Then we will end today's roundtable. Thank you for joining us. And the council work session will begin at 4:30 this afternoon.
All right. Thank you, Lynn.